Roy, obviously, when you look back at the season, we've talked at length, obviously not the finish that anybody would have wanted, but in terms of coming here and finishing off your year here, what were some of the things that you really enjoyed about your time here with San Diego?
The people were great. A lot of guys that we lived downtown, which was a new experience for me. I've never really lived in the city. I've always lived in the suburbs. So that was challenging, I think, at first. But then once I got the hang of it down there, it was a fun place to be, always happening. People were real friendly, like I said, and got to know some of the people that ran some of the bars. And, we liked watching, going and watching good music and listening to good music. And, there was plenty of that downtown. I mean, what are you going to say? It's San Diego, the beaches. We started spending a lot of time actually down towards the Tijuana part of San Diego and, some of the beaches down there, Imperial, and we go to the Tijuana estuary. We did a lot of walking there and up near Torrey Pines and explored a lot of the benefits of living in San Diego. Great fan base. Anyone that, has played here or, been to San Diego, you leave after the game and there's a bunch of people cheering you on, win or lose. And, that was always special. And I didn't even realize that San Diego was the third best draw in the league. So that tells you something about, people love hockey here and they really, get behind the players and the team. And, that's what's so special about the San Diego fan base. Even you go to the Padres games, sold out, great venue, just kind of a nice place to live, so I'll always remember San Diego as my last stomping ground.
I wanted to ask you about that because for years you were on the opposite bench. You were the visitor when you came into Pechanga and you had to deal with those fans as a visitor. How nice is it to kind of have that fan support behind you as the head coach?
Well, it's big. I wish we could have given them a better season. You have years like the one we just had. You don't want to go through a whole lot of them. I'm sure the organization and the team here learned a lot about, what they're going to have to do next year to make improvements here, and I know they'll be on board with doing that. So I think everyone that comes next year are going to see probably a better product on the ice, and someone that'll they'll be able to get behind a little more than the team they had this year. But again, the fans came out, and I know we appreciated it, as a coaching staff. And the players, even my exit meetings I had today, they talk about, the fan base here and how great it was. And they all want to come back. Whether they're all going to be back or not, I'm not sure. But they all wanted to come back and be part of it again. So that tells you a little something right there.
I wanted to ask you about the development of some of the players this year, the guys like Bo Grew, Drew Hellison, those guys who took steps forward and for some of them even went up to the Ducks and contributed. Just how proud are you of a coach is to see some of those guys and to see the heights that they reached?
Well, when you coach in the American Hockey League, the biggest thing about coaching at this level is moving guys along. I know when I was in San Jose, and if you could put 2 to 4 guys up a year, and they don't have to go out and spend a lot of money on a free agent, and they can go out and contribute and play, that you've done your job at this level. And if you look at the guys that went up at the end of the year, Hellison deserved it from where he came when he first started to where he ended up, going back and shoulder checking and making good decisions with the puck and being harder to play against. And, a guy that's always, comes to the rink ready to play. And a lot of that had to do, I think, with his partner, Del Zotto. Made big strides and is going to be, end up playing for the Ducks. Bo Gruhl, our best player, I thought most consistent player throughout the year. Another guy deserved to go. And then Dossel. Dossel was probably the best player or best goalie in the American Hockey League deserved a chance, deserved the opportunity, and made the best of it. And I think they know that they have a guy that they could count on for next year that will probably be a backup there, I would think. I know if I was looking at it, I know I would consider him. I can't speak for them, but basically we put 3 guys up on a team that didn't have a lot of prospects. I didn't think at certain times of the year you look at it that they just didn't do what they were supposed to do. But the guys that were supposed to play well got their chance and will probably be up there next year with them.
On top of that, you also had 2 rookie assistants with you this year on the bench as well, with Chris Barr and Jason Clark. Where did you see kind of development from the coaching staff in that way?
It was a hard year for them. I told them, hey, not every year's like this in the American League. They learned a lot. I think if they would have started and we would have come out of the gates like a Coachella and they thought the league was easy, and then when you have a rough year, it's really hard on you. But I think it's going to be the opposite for them. They've come in, they've experienced, a lot of things that they can bring to the table that they can be better at next year just from what they went through this year. It's going to make them better coaches, and how they come out of it, I think, is going to improve their marketability and just everything you go through. Anyone could go through an easy season. They went through a hard season, and I think it's going to be that much better for their career.
Finally, next year, we know you'll be on the ranch. You've spoke publicly about hopefully maybe find something again in the sport. But how much attention are you going to pay to San Diego next year when you're not behind the bench but still interested in the organization?
Well, I always walk. I still looked. I was in San Diego or San Jose forever, 26 years, and I kept track of their team and how they were doing, and how the Sharks were doing and how the Barracuda were doing, and it's not going to be any different. I'll be watching the Gulls, and hopefully they come out of the gate strong and, push for a playoff spot and go deep in the playoffs next year. I think the organization is going to be real deep next year. They've got a lot of good young players coming. If you look at the hockey prospects, I think they're, out of the 32 teams, they're number 1 or 2, and as far as future players coming in that they believe are going to help their team improve over the next couple of years. So they've got a good future ahead of them right here.